This is our COVID Roundup and CDC update for August 16th, 2024. Similar to last week, 25% of wastewater facilities reporting to the NWSS are reporting near or at the highest levels they've ever recorded. Moving on to the COVID genetic surveillance program, KP3.1.1 is continuing to increase in proportion to other variants, sitting at about 37% of all variants in circulation. This is followed by KP3 groupings at about 17%, followed by KP2.3 and LB1 at both 14%. Next, scrolling down to the Pengo lineage by the CDC, we see a newer add-on of KP2.15, so we'll look at that and a couple other variants later in our outbreak tracker. When we look over to Canada's epidemiologic tracker, we see that KP3.1.1 has increased to about 43% of variants in circulation there. And Mike Honey's analysis is showing that the D-fluke variants or the D-sluke variants, which is ones like KP3.1.1, we see that this variant clade is increasing all over the globe, where in Denmark it's making up about 80% of variants in proportion, and then in Spain it's making up about 75 or 70% of variants in proportion. So at this time, it appears that KP3.1.1 is probably going to be the predominant variant come our winter wave. At the very least in the US, we should expect this variant to continue increasing over the next several months. Now, looking over to our outbreak tracker, when we look at KP3.1.1, we can see that the mathematical modeling is still showing a dramatic increase, supporting Mike Honey's analysis. And then quickly flipping through the new variants like KP2.15, we see globally that that's trending down, so that's probably going to be a blip of a variant. Another interesting thing is that when we look to the Walgreens COVID positivity tracker, we can see that the test positivity rate is holding at about 40%. Here that is blown up, showing again the highest test positivity rate of any summer, while also approaching this past winter's positivity rate as well. And even the CDC's test positivity tracker, which has been dramatically reduced, is showing the highest test positivity rating that they've recorded since 2022. And COVID is this orange one right here that has just been going up and up and up since about mid-May, which is pretty concerning because when you have a reduced data set like this and you're seeing such large numbers of positivity rates, for example, it's oftentimes quite the underestimate of what is actually going on, meaning that it's much higher than what's being reported here. Finally, moving on to our wastewater surveillance programs, starting off with the New York State wastewater map. As a reminder, anything that is dark blue is low levels of COVID in the wastewater, anything that is light blue is moderate levels, and anything from yellow to bright red is high levels of COVID in the wastewater. Last week, about 88% of all reporting wastewater facilities were reporting at the highest levels. This week, it has increased once more to about 94% of all reporting wastewater facilities reporting at the highest levels. Next, moving on to wastewater scan in California. As can be seen, our summer wave is not slowing down, it is still increasing. This is largely due to a late emerging contagious variant, and again, the piss-poor isolation guidance by the CDC for 24 hours wait after getting sick, where you're then allowed to go back to work or in public. What's interesting is that we're starting to slow down the rate of the lowest levels here. That could be nothing, or it could indicate that we're starting to turn downwards. But because a lot of our higher level wastewater facilities are still increasing and still trending upwards, I think that this is just a lull in the data. I don't think it's actually a sign that we're going down at this point. We're again in California. This is our largest summer wave of the entirety of the pandemic, possibly going to be our largest wave ever in the pandemic for California. Moving on to the 148 wastewater facilities reporting to wastewater scan throughout the entirety of the US. It appears like everything is still trending upwards, and it appears things aren't going to be slowing down anytime soon.